The Seahawks win on Throwback Sunday.
That's a dog! Where the dog pound at?
They beat the Browns 24-10, George. What a fucking win. I mean, at the end of the day, didn't think we were going to win that for a while.
Hey, first place in the NFC Western division. And that's all I can ask for right now. I mean, that's unbelievable, man. If you told me 3 weeks ago that we'd be in first place in the West, I would not have believed it. Not because of how we're playing. Also, the 49ers were world beaters. And now we were, 3-2 or 2-1, and now we're 5-2, right?
So we were
3-2. Yeah, but we started 2-1, so we've won 5 of our last 6 games, which is great.
You're listening to the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me, as always, is my older brother, George.
Your favorite place to be a fan of Seattle sports. Now let's get this party started.
Tito, are you ready? Are you ready? You ready?
5 of our last 6 games, which is great.
5
We're
out
not
of our
really 5-2
last
now, or
six.
6-2.
We're
5-2
5-2
because we had a bye week. So yeah, 4 out of the last 5 games. That's very, very good. Unbelievable. Playing like one of the best teams in football.
4 out of the last 5. Yeah, we lost the first game against the Bengals. Whatever. Those numbers just made it sound way more complicated.
I
We've
know.
won 2 games in a row. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that was very the how many out of how many just seemed very useless.
It's not useless. 4 out of 5.
Whatever. I know you're
hard.
going to argue this, but my point was that we've won 2 in a row. The 49ers have lost 3 in a row. All that's caused is for us to somehow be first in the division. We've went from a place where the 49ers couldn't be beat to the 49ers losing 3 in a row. They were 5-0. Now they're 5-3. The Seahawks, they win that game in Detroit, and then they lose against Cincinnati, which felt kind of like a downer, not because you're supposed to go win in Cincinnati. You can't win every road game, but because we were 0 for 9 in the red zone that day. Now, all of a sudden, this offense is starting to do this weird thing, which I felt, I'm going to reminisce a little bit. We're talking about throwbacks. It feels a little bit like when we had Russell Wilson, and there was these spurts of the offense being unstoppable, and then there'd be these spurts of just what the hell is going on? Now, I don't know if that's just quarterback play. I don't know if that's just personnel. I don't know if that's the offensive coordinator and Shane Waldron, but it's been a very and I'm not, every team has this where they have some good drives, some bad drives. But we're literally we'll have 2 drives to start the game where our offense looks unstoppable. It will be completely useless for 3.5 quarters, and then last drive of the game make it look so easy. It just reminds me a little bit of times of Russell Wilson where you just have these super ups and downs, and we're getting that off Geno Smith a little bit right now.
Yeah,
he hasn't been the most consistent, is what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying here, and I totally agree. It seems like at the beginning of every game this year, we've kind of looked like we are pretty good on offense, and I think that's because we're really good at being prepared, scripted plays. You kind of know the first 10 plays of a game no matter what happens in the NFL. So they get those first, scripted first plays really good, and then maybe in the last drive, just because it's kind of on the whim, right? Kind of you got to do whatever you can to score, and it's not in a game plan. Either score or you lose, so you kind of play a little more loose. I don't know why it's like that, but hey.
They should be tighter, not looser, technically, as a player, right?
But I'm not saying as a player. I'm talking about the play calling and the scripts, and usually we have to stick to game plan. By the time you're at the end of a game, you can't stick to game plans. You have to score. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
I know, but
I have no theory.
That's kind of that's almost it's almost contradicting, because the beginning of the game is very scripted and we look really good, and that we're really bad the rest of the game until the end of the game where it's unscripted. So it's a very odd. I'm not saying you're contradicting. I'm saying the Seahawks offense is contradicting, because they're they come out with a game plan, they stick to it, and it works really well, and then for 2.5, 3 quarters, it seems like every week it's been happening recently. It's just dog shit offense, and then the unscripted stuff works. Why is the scripted stuff working for 2 or 3 drives and then not working for 8, 9 drives? I'm just is it the offense? I don't know. Is the play calling stale? I don't know. I can't answer it. I don't know if we're not there. We don't know the exact thing, but it's just odd to me that there's no consistency with it. But at the end of the game, this is why it reminds me of the Russell Wilson era. Like you said, at the end of the game, this weird, unscripted, fast offense, just get things done, go, has been working. And it's it happens a lot at the end of games. And I actually have a stat for you, speaking of that. And the stat is, let's see. The stat is, it reminds me of Russell Wilson stuff. Geno Smith's go-ahead pass touchdown to Jackson Smith and Jigba was his third in the final minute of regulation or OT with the Seahawks. That's the most of any player since 2022, so the last 2 seasons, surpassing Tom Brady and Matt Ryan.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Very Russell Wilson-like moments.
Yeah.
Remember how many times Russell Wilson would have these type of things?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I would not have predicted that Geno Smith was up there in game-winning drives, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And it's weird that it's Matt Ryan and Tom Brady, 2 guys aren't playing this year.
Yeah, true.
So
I mean, I guess there's no competition for those guys to come back and pass.
Essentially. Yeah, I'm also surprised that he's up there, George, and it's just like it's weird. But it goes back to, and I'm not forget Russell Wilson, but it just goes back to classic Seahawks football. Like every year we talk about like the heart attack football, right? Like
they never play a normal game.
And they're doing it again.
They're doing it again. So yeah, no, it's. But honestly, if you, I mean, I don't know if anyone's listening to the first 5 minutes of this podcast, and other than the last stat you said, it sounds like we didn't win the game. But we ended up winning this game, and I think my biggest takeaway is once again Pete Carroll. Like honestly, this coaching staff just does the right job. I think the defense play calls were completely right in the fourth. They got bailed out. We should have probably got the ball earlier. Tariq Woolen got bailed. The Browns got bailed out by Woolen's illegal hands to the face penalty. And then Jamal Adams blitz, jumped in the air like he's Michael Jordan, 35 feet in the air. Ball hits him in the head, we get an interception. But like that blitz call was good too. And I know Pete's not really calling all the defensive shots or anything, but he's like, he's kind of the mastermind behind everything.
Defensively.
Yeah, defensively especially. And I think in general, like, I don't know how he's always never, like, you always see these lists of coaches, like top 10 coaches in the league, and Pete Carroll's nowhere to be seen in the top 3 or 4, but he just proves over and over and over again how good of a coach he is. And it's like team to be 5-2 with Geno Smith, by the way, not looking as good as he did last year. He's looked good at times, but he's definitely not looked as good as last year. The offense hasn't looked as good as last year. There have been so many injuries, and the offensive line has been banged up, and we're 5-2.
Yeah, we had 41-year-old Jason Peters playing on the offensive line at some point.
Yeah.
41-year-old. That came out of retirement to, fill in case of injuries, which, again, happened when Bradford went down today. And I think, Stone Forsythe, however you say it, came out also at some point. It was just, more offensive line issues. And you said it sounds like we lost the game. And I don't necessarily think what we were saying sounds like we lost the game, because we started it all with the Seahawks now lead the NFC West, and we found another way and another game-winning drive. But I think it's okay to look at the pros and cons even after a win. I mean, at the end of the day right now, what you said is the ultimate pro, is the Seahawks defense, right? And Pete Carroll. I think this is one of the first times in a couple years that no matter what's happening, and there's a reason for this, but the first time in a couple years that the overall online hate is going nowhere to Pete Carroll, right? Usually, even when we were doing okay, the Russell Wilson last couple years, last year, there's been a lot of Pete Carroll needs to go, Pete Carroll's old philosophy, defense isn't good anymore. This is the first time since that Super Bowl era we were having that the defense is winning us more games than the offense, and Pete Carroll's getting no hate again, right? You know what I mean? It used to be a lot of fire Pete Carroll, fire Clint Hurt, fire defensive coordinator. This is the first year in a while where actually people are a little more concerned about the offense, but the defense, the Pete Carroll-led side, is dominating. And you're looking at the people that we've gotten in the drafts, which also goes to Pete Carroll and John Schneider. Today's touchdowns were Jake Bobo and Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is insane if you think about it, because we have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on the team. But the touchdowns were Jackson Smith and Jigba and Jake Bobo. And then defensively, the philosophy, like you said, a guy like Julian Love, who got brought in, got the pick off of Jamal Adams' head, who the Seahawks took a risk on. You had Boye Mafe, who was part of last year's draft that gets kind of forgotten, because last year's draft included Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross and Tariq Woolen, but it has Boye Mafe in there as well, who is playing really well, and Kenneth Walker from that draft, who's playing well. And then this year's draft, you have the Devin Witherspoons and the everybody, Zach Charbonnet, and the 2 wide receivers I mentioned. For the first time in a long time, like you just said, is the Pete Carroll mentality. The Pete Carroll tribe is winning, right? Like the draft, the defense, the youth, everything from that side is winning. The only issue when I'm saying, it didn't seem like we're talking about a loss, I'm just saying that the offense, like Geno Smith, has definitely not been up to the standard that we were at last year at all. But they pull it out. I don't know how. And it's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I know we still haven't reached, like, there are going to be bumps on this road, right? I mean, this schedule now, I think, gets a lot harder.
Ravens on the road.
You got the Cowboys coming up, a couple against the 49ers later in the year.
Eagles.
Like the Eagles. Like, you got 5 games there. But now you have room to play with. Like, I'm not saying go 0-5 against those teams and then go run the table and finish, 10-7. But I hope we don't. But if you go 2-3 against those teams, and all of a sudden you're only at 5 losses, and you have one more slip up somewhere along the way, you're an 11-6 team all of a sudden. So, like, we're taking care of business where business needs to be taken care of. It's a good team. I really, really like to see what we're like being able to achieve week in, week out, and I feel like we're getting better week in, week out, and that's really the thing that matters. And, like, honestly, okay, Geno didn't play a good game. He had 2 picks, but one of the picks, honestly, he probably thought it was a free play because Myles Garrett was lined up so far offsides. And then the other one,
either his fault or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Somebody read the ride wrong.
Someone did. That one was someone's fault. Okay, but I mean,
but it might not have been Geno's. It might be, but it was a miscommunication. There's a big difference between a miscommunication pick and just a what the fuck was that throw pick. But he did get away with the pick 6. That was probably going to happen. The guy dropped it.
That's also true. But yeah, so overall, like, Geno, man, he like came in that last drive. I mean, you saw Seahawks Twitter. You saw the text threads we were on. Everyone was like, "Oh, Geno needs to be gone. Geno's no good. Geno sucks." Drew Lock, like, you know how people are. Fans are, short for fanatic. They're reactionary, and Geno just went down there. That drive was almost picture perfect. JSN showed why he was a first-round draft pick by being able to get around the corner and score a touchdown, and here we are, 5-2. I really, really cannot believe we are first place in the NFC West.
Yeah, I can't believe it either, but part of the reason I can't believe it is because of how Geno Smith's playing. But to your exact point is, when it matters, the last couple of weeks in general, the Seahawks team in general, forget Geno Smith for a second. I feel like I'm piling on Geno Smith. There's part of it that's rightfully so because there has been a lot of moments where he hasn't been the same quarterback as last year. But I say it all with this thought of it doesn't matter because when it matters, he's showing up, right? And that's where in football sometimes what matters to you is this team progressing forward? Are they winning the games at the end of the game? We've had one. I'm forgetting week 1 for a second because week 1, we just came out bad.
Right.
And it wasn't like, I wouldn't point fingers at any specific person. It just wasn't a great game. But if you looked moving on in the year, the only other time I really have a complaint was our red zone against the Bengals. And it happens. It was one game in the road in Cincinnati. Other than that, this Seahawks
Which, by the way, now looks really good after they beat the 49ers. Not an easy place to go play.
Correct. And at that time, people were like, oh, they were 2-3 or something. And it's like, oh, the Bengals aren't as good this year. No, they're good. They just, every year with Joe Burrow, they've had multiple, the year they made the Super Bowl, they started off like 0-2 or 0-3. So they're slow starters. But the Seahawks have found a way that whether it's clean, it's ugly, it's scrappy, it's weird, they're finding ways to just pull out wins. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And for Geno Smith, that's all that matters, right? At the end of the day today, Geno Smith, obviously he wants to be better next game. But he's not going to sit there and be like, can't believe I didn't throw more touchdowns. No, he's happy we got the win. Mm-hmm. And now he's going to study tape for the next game and see how it can be better. So all the, negativity that might come around it, like, we're 5-2 or we were 4-2 regardless before this. So like you said, we don't need Drew Lock in there. Like, guys, this is football. There's going to be ups and downs. The 49ers have lost 3 straight games. They're still 5-3, and they still
they're probably still going to stick to Brock Purdy.
And they're not going to move on to Sam Darnold because he had 3 bad games.
And just go look at this NFL right now. I mean, God, who's playing better quarterback than Geno Smith in the NFC? Like, I know he's not playing that good, but who's playing better quarterback? Jalen Hurts has 8 picks this year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's just put this. Let's put this in one perspective here.
No,
let's put this in one perspective. The Russell Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes. And I know Patrick Mahomes had the flu, but today, this is how even the NFL has been this year is Russell Wilson like outplayed Patrick Mahomes. And you have like a situation, just if you look around the NFL, I'm just looking at it, like Matt Stafford had a fucking shitty game, right? Derek Carr, they won today, but hasn't been very good. Jalen Hurts has had a lot of sketchiness this year. Where do we go? Patrick Mahomes and that team, yeah. The Bengals lost early in the season, couple games. The 49ers right now.
Brock Purdy hasn't looked good. I would say the only quarterback that's been, I mean, sure, I know he's not been the best quarterback. Geno Smith has not been the best quarterback in the NFC, but I'm just saying the only quarterback who hasn't really struggled in the whole NFC is Jared Goff. Other than that.
No, I mean, they did lose by like 30, like last week, remember?
They did lose, yeah. They got their butts kicked last week by the Ravens, who we're going to
who that is who, by the way, they lost 38-6 to the Ravens.
So like
that's the only quarterback that I think hasn't had a god awful game yet is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, who should be the MVP of the NFL like going into after this week. But my point is in the NFC that there's really no dominant quarterback. There has not been one dominant quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah, and there's been no dominant team. Like
no, the whole NFL, no one's dominant. I mean, we're a game back of the Eagles for the best record in the NFL.
Yeah, let's just go to the conference for a second. In the NFC conference right now, screenshot that I put on Seattle on Tap Twitter at Seattle on Tap. We are second place in the entire NFC. First place is the Philadelphia Eagles at 7-1, who almost lost today to the Commanders, but they're not perfect, like you mentioned. Number 2 in the entire NFC is the Seattle Seahawks. They have the tiebreaker over Detroit and Dallas. They're right ahead of Dallas. I don't know why, but they're ahead. I think it's because
they are probably conference record or something.
They have the same conference record too. Maybe it's the Dallas and Detroit play. I don't know. It's probably some triple tiebreaker. Yeah. The point is, we're ahead of them, and we play Dallas. And so the teams that are like right there. By the way, every team that's right there. The Lions we already have the win against. We play the 49ers twice. We play the Eagles once. We play the Cowboys once. All in the next like 5-6 weeks. So if this team is in a position where they win a couple of those, lose a couple of those, we're probably going to be looking near the end of the season where we're somewhere in the top 3 or 4 in the NFC.
Right.
And that's all that matters going into the final 3, 4, 5 game stretch of a season. Yeah. You don't have to be in first place.
No, you don't at all. All I'm asking for is a chance to win the division heading later into the season. And right now, it looks like we're going to have a chance to win the division. I mean, people say it's early. I agree. But we're 7 games out of a 17. It's really never that early in the NFL.
There's 10 games left?
Yeah, like there's 10 games left in the season. Like it's never that early in football.
Yeah, I mean, it's because if you look at it, I mean, if you told me, like you said this to start the podcast. If you told me like 3 weeks ago when the 49ers were 5-0 that 3 weeks later the Seahawks would be leading the division, you wouldn't have believed them.
No, because I didn't think that. Honestly, I thought
that's
the 49ers,
how the NFL is.
I thought the 49ers were world beaters.
Yeah.
And I thought the Seahawks
And they were 5-0.
Yeah. And I thought the Seahawks were a good team. And I haven't changed any thoughts about the Seahawks this whole season, actually. Like, it's exactly what I thought the Seahawks were going to be. And this is exactly what they are.
I think we both said, you said 11-6.
I said 11-6.
I said 10-7.
Yeah, but I had like the one game I had them winning that they lost was the Rams game. So now they're probably going to go 10-7. But we'll see.
I'm still at 10-7.
Yeah.
Like
exactly
where I started because
that might win the division now.
Yeah. And that sounds not that great. You know why?
Why?
Because that would be going 5-5 the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. But we have a fucked up schedule coming up. So if we do go 5-5 the rest of the season, we will literally be at 10-7. And like you said, that's
amazing. Actually,
that's a great.
So you're telling me if we go 6-4 and play worse than we have been playing right now, which by the way,
11-6.
We'll be an 11-6 team. That's pretty good. That's really good actually.
That's a very good sign.
I think we can only play better. I don't think we play that good.
And there we go. This is a good like segment here. The whole beginning. You know, where you said it sounds like we lost, right? Or like it sounds negative.
Yeah. I just kind of wanted to start the podcast with the winning. Like it felt good.
We did start with that.
Yeah,
we did.
Well, a sentence, but yeah.
No, we said they won the NFC West. The Seahawks pulled off a victory. We talked about Geno's comebacks. Yeah. It was 8 minutes in or so, I think, where I was saying that he hasn't played that good. And that's not to say we haven't won, but the point is that, like, we could go 5-5 the rest of the year, 500, which is playing worse than we are now, and we'd be 10-7. We went 6-4, which is worse than we're playing right now. Like you said, we'd be 11-6, and we're not playing very good. The defense is. The offense is playing pretty below average.
I'm not saying we're guaranteed, so don't take this out of proportion, but we've almost guaranteed ourselves a playoff spot.
Oh, big statement. Like you said, don't take it out of...
No, but I'm just saying...
I agree with you, but I just love the big statement.
Yeah, I'm not saying we did. I'm just saying, but with your record being where it is and still playing the Cardinals, twice? Or we played them once already?
Twice.
We played the Cardinals 2 more times.
We haven't played the Cardinals.
No, we haven't played the Cardinals. So he's played the Cardinals twice. All right, so I'm not saying like there's any gimmies in the NFL, but no, we played the Cardinals last week.
Yeah, we beat them last week. You're right.
We played the Cardinals one more time.
That was dumb of me. That was my fault.
Because I was like, Kyler Murray, I was worried that he was going to come back. So we play the Cardinals one more time, and then we got some easier games on our schedule coming up. And it's just like in general, like we'd have to probably go 3-7 in our last 10 games to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, we'd have to be god awful.
Yeah, so
which
is possible, but I'm just saying, like, I would be shocked if a Pete Carroll coached football team goes 3-7 in their last 10 games of a season.
Help me out
Pete Carroll
here.
always gets better throughout the season.
That's not necessarily true. Last year we got worse near the end of the year.
Yeah, but that's an anomaly.
Well, I don't know. Actually, the year before that too, we were like 5-0 with Russ, and then
true.
Yeah, so I think the coaching might get better, but our situationally, we've just maybe our schedule's gotten harder every year, but I think your point more is that having a great coach like Pete Carroll, you can at least believe that it's going to get better. Yeah. And I'm looking at the schedule. Let's just say you give a loss in Baltimore.
I'm going to, but yeah.
Fair. You play the Commanders at home. You should. They're 3-5.
Yeah.
You should win that. You play the Rams. They're 3-5. You should win this one.
That's a revenge game.
Yeah. And then the next 4 games are fucked up. Okay? Yeah. You have 49ers at home, which let's just say that's a win. Let's say you split. Yeah. Cowboys on the road, let's just say it's a loss.
All right.
49ers on the road, we'll say it's a loss.
Okay.
And then you have Eagles at home. That's either that, or you flip that in the Cowboys game.
That better be a Sunday night football game or something.
Well, it's 2:25 right now, but that's because we have 2 primetime games like the 2 weeks before.
Okay, well that one might get flexed.
It will.
Do you think next week could next week get flexed, or you're not allowed? You're allowed to flex now, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they should.
Well, that's
flex.
an 11 a.m., 10 a.m. game.
Yeah, they should flex that next week.
Well, I don't know what else is on the schedule.
Me either, but I mean, I don't think there's 5-2 and 6-2 team playing. I don't think.
I don't know, but that's so beyond the end of my sentence here. The point is, we've then played the Titans, which they're pretty bad. I know they look good today.
Is it Levis or Levi?
Levi, I think. I don't know, I could be
well,
wrong.
he looks like he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, well, he's not.
I know.
Steelers at home, and then the Cardinals on the road, but the Cardinals will also be like 1-12 maybe, or 1-15 at the time.
We're in Arizona. Half the stadium will be filled with Seahawks fans.
It's always Seahawks fans. Yeah. So I'm not scared of that. I'm not saying you can't lose, but I'm not scared of the Cardinals game. I'm not that scared of like the Steelers, Titans, Commanders. I would say half our games are really tough and half are like you should win. And that sits us perfectly at like if you go 5-5 or 6-4.
Yeah. If you go 4-6, you make the playoffs. You'll be 9-8. Yeah, this year,
possibly,
probably make the playoffs at 9-8.
Maybe, but if you go 5-5, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's such an optimistic feeling for me that like we are 5-2 right now. If we're just below, if we're average the rest of the season, below average even, go 5-5, you're in the playoffs. If you go 6-4, you might be the number 1 seed or number 2 seed.
Yeah.
So, despite the offense not looking perfect, despite some more heart attack games, the classic Seattle Seahawks heart attack games, we're in first place in the NFC West, and we're in second place in the entire NFC. Right now, is there only 1 bye now?
Yeah, 1 bye.
That kind of sucks.
I know. Now you say that sucks.
Top 2 teams should have a bye.
Yeah.
But like the whole point is, we'd have home field outside of like an NFC Championship game most likely.
You try too much shit to get cute, man.
Yeah.
7
2 byes.
Yeah, just go back to 6 playoff teams and 2 byes. Like we don't need the 7th team.
We wouldn't have been in the playoffs last year.
That's fine. We didn't win the Super Bowl. Like whatever.
Could have.
We could have. Probably couldn't. Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like, does it matter?
No.
Exactly.
Go Hawks. Maybe anything else? Oh yeah, I have one more thing.
Tell me.
For all those that bitch about the idea of bringing back the throwback jerseys.
Oh my God.
You're insane if you don't think, when you saw that on TV today or in person, you're insane if you don't think that's like one of the best 5 or 6 jerseys in the NFL.
Yeah, I was telling Sammy, like, okay, so back in the day, those were the jerseys, and I watched
bad.
and we were bad, and I watched the team. I never realized how good the jerseys were because we didn't have 4K television, right? We had, like, everyone was on their whatever standard definition.
The last year they wore them was 2001 or
yeah, there was no 4K in 2001.
no, but it was getting a little better.
It was a little bit better, but not
And then
good
they went to
enough.
the worst jerseys in NFL history.
Yeah, and maybe I'm biased, or it's not even biased. If I was biased, I'd say I love them. I don't like our jerseys right now. That's why, like, all my Seahawks gear is throwback gear. Like, literally, all my Seahawks gear is throwback gear. And Sammy's wearing throwback gear because I love the throwback colors. That blue is the blue of the Seattle Seahawks.
And the apple green.
And the apple green is the green of the Seattle Seahawks. I plead and beg them to go back to these uniforms because I really think they are the best uniform. See, here's the thing. Like, you got the Tennessee, Houston Oilers, whatever, Houston Oilers, Tennessee Oilers uniforms. Those are cool, but they look fake. You know, they don't look like football uniforms.
They look like a gimmick for a day.
They look like a gimmick.
Also, they're Oilers, so you feel like they should be in Houston.
In Houston, yeah. So if they're in Houston, maybe I wouldn't say they're a gimmick, but they feel like a gimmick. These don't feel like a gimmick. These feel like the best.
Even like the Buccaneers creamsicles. That's a one game thing.
That's a one game thing. You can't wear these are so perfect. They're like
You could make one debate is potentially the Kelly Green Eagles.
okay. Those are pretty
pristine.
damn good
Yeah.
too. But the Seahawks and the Eagles, the two birds, really have the coolest uniforms in the NFC. So you got to go back to them full time. Like, I think the Seahawks organization does a good job of listening to what the fans want. And I think the fans complain enough on the internet. We could actually get these uniforms back full time. It wouldn't be next year or the year. It'd take a little bit.
I think it'd be a different variation of the same uniforms, though. I think we'd go back to silver helm. I think they would try to modernize something.
Yeah, I would
here
agree
or
with
there.
that.
Like, maybe they'd change the stripes to, like, some type of similar to the
I could see
lines
that.
we have now. Like, do something to make it a little different for the fans that hate that it feels like the losing era of the Seahawks, which it does, but, like, who cares? Number one. Number two is, I think there's one thing about football. I don't think this applies to all sports, baseball, basketball especially, but there's something about football that even if it doesn't feel modernized, it's okay. Like in basketball, yes, they should keep the Toronto Raptors, the Memphis Grizzlies with the Grizzly, or if the Sonics come back, they're not going to, but they should have the Space Needle one with the ball, but it's too much for modernization. Right. Football, you have one thing, and it's like your logo on your helmet. The rest of the jerseys, not logos.
There's
or
nothing. It's your color.
It's just your color. So if you look, we talked about this
way.
last podcast, I believe. If you look at the best jerseys in the NFL, nobody sit here and tells you the Titans have the best jerseys. And nobody says like the Carolina Panthers have the best jerseys. It's like, I thought about it even more today. Vikings with that old Viking logo, the Chiefs, the Packers, the Cowboys.
I went to like 5 different websites today, and all of them had the Raiders as either 1 or 2.
Because it's
classic.
Old school. And the logo's interesting. Yeah. And the colors are bright or vibrant. Even though it's black and silver, it's bright in the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same as the Chiefs. Everyone loves the Chiefs, the Packers, the Vikings, the
the Houston Texans. No,
like they're awful. Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's those old. Right. They're bright, like the bright yellow, the bright red, the bright green and blue, the silver of the Cowboys and the Raiders, all those different, classic uniforms. I feel the same way about the Seahawks one, so I just don't get it.
Yeah, even the field today was just magnificent.
It was, and we won.
So let's ride it out. But that's also like, okay. So here's the thing: are we allowed to wear them every week if we wanted to? Because I know now we added a second week that we're gonna wear them against the Cowboys, right?
Yes.
So are you just like allowed to say, all right, we're wearing them the rest of the year?
I think so. I think because it's part of. I think we discontinued. Did we discontinue Wolf Gray or no? We did Gray Pants. I think we discontinued Action Green this year, right?
Okay, yeah.
No.
Or no, I don't. I haven't.
We discontinued one of them. The same as the Mariners of City Connect. They discontinued the gray, which was disappointing. I like the grays actually. The Seahawks have to I think they discontinued Wolf Gray full set actually.
Okay, but that was my favorite one of all of them. But
it might be Action Green.
I don't know, but my point is
they discontinued.
But you're allowed to wear it whenever you want. Cool, that's cool. I didn't know that. So maybe just write it out.
We asked the players, right? I'm sure the players love the jerseys, and you've heard them say it. Like, do they ask, like, "Hey, can we wear these more often?" Like, can we go back to these?
That's why they already added the Dallas Cowboys game. I'm guessing the players might have said something like, "Hey, can we wear these again?"
But I think the plan was all swear it twice. They should know it.
Oh, really? I
Yes.
didn't know that. Okay.
But my question too is like, can you? I don't know. Like, do they care if the players say like, "Hey, everyone says we should go back to these"?
Yeah, they might care. Really, they might. This organization does a good job of listening to the players and the fans. So we'll see. I'm not going to say it's not going to be. It's going to take a while. They'll never go permanent quickly with these type of things. But I would not be surprised if the Seahawks kind of go permanent with these one day again, or they just wear them like 5 times a year, which is almost permanent.
Like the Wolf Grain action.
Yeah.
Games. Like you can, out of 17 games, wear them like
5 times.
5-6 times, and everyone will be happy. And,
Exactly.
and wear the white like 2 times and the blue like 3 times.
Exactly. Something like that.
I'll be good with that because I love the action greens and the Wolf Grays.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually a big fan of all our alternatives more than our actual jerseys.
Me too.
Like I like the Wolf Grays. I love the action greens. I like the action green top, blue pants.
Me too.
I like Wolf Gray, like bottom of blue top. I just don't like the all blue or the all white.
I get it.
And so mix it up. Like give us like 5-6 games of throwbacks, 3 home, 3 away, and like
agree.
call it a day.
I couldn't agree more, man.
Please.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, and I want to see the whites. That'd be nice.
That'd be cool.
With the silvers, helmets.
I'll probably be against Dallas.
No, because Dallas wears white at home. They wear
that's
the
right.
white.
They wear the white.
Yeah, the white with the silver pants.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
true.
I think that's why they're picking that road game because Dallas
Hey,
wears
at
white.
least
Unless Dallas wears
it's
those
gonna be
blue.
national TV. People are going to make NFL fans be like, "Hey guys, wear these."
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, that's all we got. Make sure you check us out everywhere at Seattle on Tap. That's SeattleOnTap.com. That's Seattle on Tap on all platforms. And you can find this podcast, this YouTube channel, however you want to find us, everywhere. Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. So check it out. Give us some love and support. And George,
What's up, man?
we'll be back in a few days.
Yeah.
George's birthday is on Tuesday, Halloween. So
Yep.
give him a happy birthday shout out.
Spooky.
And spooky birthday time.
Yep.
And George,
What's
you
up,
know
man?
what we like to say.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
Love y'all. Peace.